What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Farzy Show, brought to you by Destination Retirement, DestinationRetirement.com. From the Steven Singer Studios, my name is Marc Farzy. I was hoping for it. I was praying for it. I really wanted Kyle Schwarber to tie things up at 3 apiece in the bottom of the ninth inning in Los Angeles last night and force baseball's equivalent of overtime. No, not extra innings. Oh, that would be ridiculous. But another home run derby. Maybe in this one, Kyle Schwarber wouldn't have been robbed like he was in the previous one. That was yesterday's discussion. But oh, how great it would have been for Schwarber to tie things up. Instead, Clase just outclassed him, basically, in that at bat, blowing smoke by him. Absolute heat by Kyle Schwarber. The same heat we're going to be experiencing here in Philadelphia as we're in the midst of a heat wave. But overall, with the exception of a couple innings, it was a pitcher's duel there in the All-Star game yesterday. Kyle Schwarber going 0 for 2 with a ground out and a strikeout, including the one I just referenced at the bottom of the ninth inning. But it was so close to the perfect storm of getting that home run derby to actually decide who is going to be the winner of the All-Star game. That, to me, even though it's an All-Star game and it's got no bearings on anything else, that would have been edge of my seat drama that I was longing for. Now, Phillies are going to get back in action on Friday, so that'll be exciting. But let me just say this: did anybody yesterday wake up and think to themselves, "I wonder what Jonathan Papelbon thinks about us"? No, you neither. Oh, no way. Jonathan Papelbon made some comments that we'll get into, and Joel Embiid, PJ Tucker, and James Harden working out together already. It's beautiful. It's bliss. And I know people love jumping immediately to the Ben Simmons stuff, to the stuff he did in the offseason. Oh, what do I do? I don't need to believe any of this because of Ben Simmons. Like, Ben Simmons was a totally different animal. Like, there are some circles that will still talk about whether or not Ben Simmons is actually going to play in another NBA game ever in his life, because that's how much people doubt whether or not he actually gives a damn about basketball. I think he does play again, but just even consider the idea of this guy retiring kind of is funny to me. But when it comes to his offseason stuff, it was all a bunch of BS. Oh, look at him working on his threes. He wasn't going to use that in a game. That stuff you can throw out the window. But when you see Tyrese Maxey working out with James Harden, like we showed you guys last week, and Sam Cassell out there running that practice before James Harden was even officially re-signed by the 76ers, that at least gives you the warm and fuzzies that he's really committed to being here in Philadelphia. Then the two different stories come out about how basketball is number one, and then a story comes out about how he told Daryl Morey, like we went over yesterday, Daryl Morey, hey, whatever's left over, you give me, but take care of the team and make sure we have everything we need here to win now. That's great. But then you see him with PJ Tucker, and you see him with Joel Embiid, and this is on James Harden's TikTok account, that the three of them are already in a gym working out together. And this is just a couple of days. Now, it's only a day after, but it's a couple of days probably after the event actually went down with James Harden releasing his wine label. He does that, celebrates that. Good for him. I'm sure a lot of work went into that. And then he's in the gym with his boys, getting ready for the season. That's not tipping off for another couple of months already. You got to love that. That's the offseason stuff I can get behind. When I want to see guys working, getting healthy, staying in shape, getting to know each other, getting to play on the same team. Joel Embiid, we went over the comments even before PJ Tucker was signed here in Philadelphia about how Joel Embiid said he needs that kind of toughness, that kind of defensive mindset, and that strength from a player like PJ Tucker on the 76ers. All but going out there and actively recruiting PJ Tucker, and you didn't really need to do much of that because Daryl Morey obviously already liked PJ Tucker, and James Harden already liked PJ Tucker, and we, and not just myself, but all of us should have liked PJ Tucker just by watching the defense he was able to provide when he was a member of the Milwaukee Bucks, winning an NBA title. So, yes, it's nice to have that in Philadelphia. It's nice to have those guys already trying to get on the same page because Harden has already played with Tucker. Joel Embiid, not yet. They haven't played together. So whatever time they can get with each other on the court is phenomenal. I'm willing to invest my emotion and my optimism in those guys working out, and Tyrese Maxey included in the bunch, by the way. I'm willing to invest my optimism in that. I am not, and I stopped even when he was still with the Philadelphia 76ers. I was not willing to invest my optimism in Ben Simmons after 2 consecutive off seasons of workout videos, topless workout videos of him shooting threes and then never seeing it in a game. So please, The Ben Simmons workout stuff, let that go the way of the dodo, folks. That's extinct. The conversation is dead. Workout videos to me are nice to see. When I look at a workout video, I go, oh, an athlete doing what he's supposed to be doing. That's nice. Because you can't, and here's the other thing. You can't look at these videos with James Harden and go, who cares? And then make a big stake when he's at some club partying. And that video gets released. And somebody takes video of James Harden partying at a club. Like, you can't get all, look at this guy's not taking it seriously, and then not say anything about the time he actually does work out. So, to me, I'm going to go ahead and bring it up, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. So, it was nice to see that at least put out there yesterday. The three of those guys, Embiid, Harden, and Tucker, were out there on the court working on their game. Great to see. We got some LaShawn McCoy news out there. He made some news yesterday going on the I Am an Athlete podcast and talking about that dreadful 2011 dream team year for the Philadelphia Eagles. LaShawn McCoy was on that team. Asante Samuel was on that team. And they were kicking it around yesterday. On the show today, Clay Harbor, who was a member of that team. He was in his second year of being an NFL tight end, second year with the Philadelphia Eagles. And he offered a little bit of a correction. Now, before we get into some other stuff that we want to discuss, Jonathan Papelbon being one of them, today's guest, like I said, is Clay Harbor. This is the story LaShawn McCoy told yesterday about that infamous season and how the Eagles knew they were going to be in for it when it came to, at the time, three-time Pro Bowler, three-time consecutive Pro Bowler, Nnamdi Asomugha. This is when LaShawn McCoy knew they had a bit of a problem when he was talking about the I Am a Player podcast, or I Am an Athlete podcast.
So when we had Nnamdi, it was his first one-on-one at practice, right? It was camp. And everybody thought, we got Nnamdi. He sounded like a big-ass deal. So we all looking. We like, ooh, like that type of thing. Like, ooh. So look, but when he went against the tight end, Brent Selleck. Brent was a good tight end. He was like a route runner. He was like this all-together complete, can block, can run a little bit. So when he went against the tight end, we like,
this is the first day?
The first day, we like.
First day.
Yo, the tight end hit him with like a post corner. We was like, oh. We like, oh. We look at the GM like.
First day looking bad.
Look, you know how Son is, told you.
Favorite things about that is we looked at the GM and we were like, oh, like we look at Howie, oh. Like I remember a couple of coaches talking about not believing the amount of talent their GM was procuring for them. One was Ken Hitchcock laughing and giggling at Bobby Clark getting him Peter Forsberg. I'll never forget that. Ken Hitchcock was like, I was giggling about it. It was funny. And Bobby goes, yeah, he was giggling. Like that was what happened. And then the other was Howie walking up to Andy Reid, and Andy Reid goes to his press conference and just said, yeah, Howie told me, and I was just like laughing. Yeah, let's get more talent in here. So Nnamdi goes on to sign a 5-year, $60 million plus deal with the Eagles, 3-time Pro Bowler, okay? In that season, the Eagles added some talent. I believe it was Jason Babin was also one of the signees that they brought in there, Dream Team. And then the guy that actually said Dream Team was Vince Young as a backup quarterback. Now, the thing is with that cut, Shady McCoy says that the guy that burnt Nnamdi Asomugha, and I'm sure he wasn't the only one, was Brent Selleck. Enter our good friend Clay Harbor, who says this. That's his Twitter bio, but here's his actual quote. Here's his tweet. That actually wasn't Brent. It was a slant and go. And there is Clay with the raising hand emoji saying that was him. So when Clay Harbor joins us in a couple of minutes, he'll take us through that entire play and what went down and what Nnamdi had to say to the offensive coordinator at the time. So we'll jump back into the 2011 season and the disappointment that was to get the behind-the-scenes look. Now, that story picked up steam yesterday. A lot of people were talking about it. Crossing Broad picked it up, and a lot of people were kicking it around. So it was some interesting stuff that went on down with the Eagles, having to harken back to the 2011 season. So Clay Harbor will set the record straight. And also will give us his take, as of right now, less than a week away from reporting to training camp for the Philadelphia Eagles, where the Eagles sit right now and what he's expecting the Eagles to do. And I'll tell you this. You're going to like it. You're going to like it. Also, some personal news from Clay Harbor as well that he'll give us. So look forward to catching up with Clay Harbor. Let's get to Jonathan Papelbon here. I always find it hilarious in a not so funny way, but like funny, not haha, but like funny, like what the hell kind of way, that Jonathan Papelbon is the saves leader for the Philadelphia Phillies franchise. He is the saves leader for the Philadelphia Phillies franchise. Phillies have been around since 1883. And Jonathan Papelbon leads the Boston Red Sox and the Philadelphia Phillies in saves. That's where we are in life, folks. I never really liked Jonathan Papelbon when he was here in Philadelphia. I mean, I liked that he could close out games. That was great. But there was always something that rubbed me the wrong way about this guy. I think he's got opinions that just aren't based in fact, and that's what we're going to get into right now. You want to talk about the past of the Philadelphia Phillies, the times that Jonathan Papelbon was here in Philadelphia? Sure, you could talk about that. But to make predictions for the future is what I'm referencing when I talk about Jonathan Papelbon making opinion without any basis in reality or fact. Let's get into it right here. The first thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way was this cut yesterday, this quotation. I was talking to Betway Insider, and this is what Papelbon had to say about the Philadelphia Phillies. In order to be a good team and have a good postseason run, you have to have leadership. I don't think the Phillies have any of that. It's always been kind of chaotic in Philadelphia with the fans, with the players, the front office. It's like a bleep show here. And for me, I see the bleep show continuing. I mean, they fired their manager, 2 months into the season? And as long as that stuff happens, Philadelphia will never win again. Philadelphia will never get back to the playoffs. Who peed in his Cheerios? What the hell? Where'd that come from? I thought we parted on somewhat decent ways. The contract ran out, or he traded him. He was gone. They got the Pivetta, Nick Pivetta in the deal. All right, cool. And that was it. Game over. Traded him to Washington. Washington goes on to win the division, by the way, I think 2 years later. So good for them in 2016. That's pretty nice. But to talk about the Philadelphia Phillies as a franchise 10 years ago has no basis in reality now. You want to talk about the fan base and it's tough to play in Philadelphia? No disputing that. That's the one thing he said that I agree with, and I think has validity to it, because everyone says how tough it is to play in Philadelphia. I go back to my good friend Trey Thomas always saying how Philly isn't for everybody. That's fine. That we pride ourselves on that. We pride ourselves on, if you're going to play in Philadelphia, you better bust your ass every single day out there. You better show us that you really want to win. And guess what? Not a lot of cities are like that. Some other cities are like, oh, okay, yeah, just entertain us. That's it. We don't really give a damn about your effort. Just win. That's it. And in Philadelphia, it's kind of like we still care about how you win. Call us old-fashioned. And that's not unique just to Philadelphia. Boston has a lot of that. The diehard New York fans have a lot of that. The upper Northeast corridor of the United States, a lot of fans are like that. But when it comes to the always chaotic thing, yeah, okay. Yeah, in Philadelphia, we can be kind of crazy. I get it. But when it comes to the front office, Ruben Amaro Jr., Matt Klentak, now Dave Dombrowski running the show, Andy McPhail, the president running things before. The ownership group is even different than when Jonathan Papelbon was here in Philadelphia. I mean, I know John Middleton was still very much a part of it, but he wasn't the head of the triumvirate with him and the Buck cousins that he is now. He certainly wasn't the face of ownership at the time. The late David Montgomery was then. So things have changed substantially here in Philadelphia. And he still wants to talk about how the front office is chaotic? Not so fast. It's very different here in Philadelphia now, in the front office. Now, you could say when you look at the way they evaluate young talent, that's the same. Yes, it is. But I don't think a lot of people are looking at that right now. And the Phillies, by the way, are in playoff contention. And he's talking about making a deep playoff run. It's still possible that this team could do it. This team is propelling themselves into wild card standing without the reigning NL MVP, without a two-time National League MVP in Bryce Harper, and not having their starting second baseman, trying to break in a second baseman right now in Bryson Stott, who, yes, I think he'll have a long MLB career in front of him. Didi Gregorius has been injured. Like, they have had a lot of shortcomings in this on this team, injury-wise, and somehow still firing their manager. Yeah, they're one of the best teams in baseball since they made that decision. Maybe under Jonathan Papelbon's reign here in Philadelphia, the front office would have handled that differently. But this front office said, Joe Girardi, thanks, but no thanks. And since June 1st, they got the 5th best record in all of baseball. So that was a good decision. You can't bring up something that ended up being a good decision as a negative to the team. And when we had Garrett Stubbs on a couple of weeks ago, what did he tell us? That Topper, old Rob Thompson, has a totally different attitude and has instilled a totally different mindset and atmosphere in this ball club and in the clubhouse. So you can't bring up firing a manager as a negative, Jonathan Papelbon. Also, he talks about leadership, and this is where he starts talking a little bit about Bryce Harper. I don't necessarily see Bryce Harper being a huge leader of the team because he's really never a leader when I played with him. He kind of went out on his own business, about his own business, and he was more of a me guy or an I guy. I wasn't really into what was happening in the clubhouse, and I didn't have that pull for the team. Once again, Jonathan Papelbon to Betway Insider. Jonathan Papelbon, we all remember, got in a little scuffle with Bryce Harper when Bryce apparently wasn't busting it down the line. And Bryce on the way back, you can see Papelbon yelling at him and Bryce taking exception to it. Two get pissed at each other. They go in the dugout. And I think it was Papelbon choking Bryce Harper or Bryce Harper choking Jonathan Papelbon. And they've gotten into a little kerfluffle in the dugout. Bryce Harper was 23 years old. That team went on to, again, win the division in 2016. That's the last Jonathan Papelbon played with Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper coming to Philadelphia, I think, from what I watched in Washington, was still an MVP, by the way, winning his first MVP with the Nationals, of course. Coming to Philadelphia, I feel like he took over a team. You can't tell me that Bryce Harper is not a leader. Maybe he wasn't in Washington. Maybe he didn't feel like that was his place, despite being the best player on the team, despite being an MVP, despite being a number 1 overall pick. Maybe he just didn't feel like leadership was for him there because he was the younger guy. Maybe he felt entitled, too. That's the negative aspect of it. And if you ask Jonathan Papelbon, I'm sure that's more the direction he would go with it. But the version of Bryce Harper now in Philadelphia is a totally different guy than I have seen when he was playing for the Washington Nationals. A leader, if he wasn't a leader, he wouldn't be out there talking about how he wanted the team to re-sign JT Realmuto. If he wasn't a leader, he wouldn't be keeping this team in the wild card conversation as he did at the end of last year when they were missing guys left and right in the lineup. Most notably, a guy that, like him or not, Rhys Hoskins was a team leader, is a team leader. Now this is Bryce's team. This is Bryce's franchise, as I said before. So looking at him in Washington, sure, I wouldn't say he's a leader. Here in Philadelphia, 1,000% leader. Sign JT, they signed JT. Lead the team to stay in contention when other guys are missing from the lineup like they did last year, and in the process winning another MVP award? Yeah, I'd say that's the leader. Going into the offseason last year and saying how this team needs to draft better, get more young talent in this lineup? Yeah, I'd say that's a leader. He wasn't just speaking for the rest of the guys in the clubhouse. He was speaking about the guys that are going to the games as fans. Guys and girls going to games, taking in a ball game, wanting the Phillies to win. That's what a leader does. You judge people from how you know them. I think Jonathan Papelbon knows Bryce Harper from playing with him there in D.C., and I think he thinks that Bryce Harper is still the same guy. I've noticed a huge difference. I think Bryce Harper has matured tremendously here in Philadelphia, and it doesn't hurt that he won a second MVP while he was here as well. Now he's just got to do that other thing, make the playoffs. And then after that, hopefully give us that nice, long playoff run. We're starved for playoff baseball here in Philadelphia, and I think Bryce Harper is going to be a huge reason as to why this Phillies team is going to make the playoffs and eventually make a deep run and give us real hope in another World Series here in Philadelphia. At least another run of the ring, please. I don't see the same guy that Jonathan Papelbon talked about that he last played with in 2016. It's been a minute since those two were teammates. And I don't know if you could tell from that little kerfluffle they had in the dugout. I don't think they really liked each other to begin with. I mean, I remember participating in a charity softball game at Citizens Bank Park. And Jonathan Papelbon came out and was like yelling at members of the police because it was the PAL softball game. And he's probably just, breaking stones. But he was just like, don't quit your day jobs there, guys. And then stories come out about how Jonathan Papelbon, broke wind in the direction of reporters. And the other thing was Jonathan Papelbon adjusting his cup or grabbing his crotch. You can determine what it was, but he ended up getting thrown out of the game by Joe West, if you remember, for making an obscene gesture to the fan base. I think he was adjusting his cup. But Jonathan Papelbon, putting it in context with him, as much as I would have given the benefit of the doubt, I don't think he was really just adjusting his cup. I think he was trying to send a message. So I'm going to go ahead and take with a grain of salt anything Jonathan Papelbon says. And if anything, I'll say, you know what, Jonathan Papelbon? You're probably right about the way Bryce Harper was when he was in Washington. But here in Philadelphia, we have seen a totally different guy than the guy he played with, a 23-year-old Bryce Harper. I'm going to go ahead and give Bryce Harper the benefit of the doubt and assume that he's been much different here in Philly than Jonathan Papelbon knew him when he was in D.C. So again, just nobody woke up yesterday going, I wonder what Jonathan Papelbon thinks. Yeah, just making sure. Before we get to our friend Clay Harbor, I want to tell you about the great people at Destination Retirement. My man, Mike Seibert at Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com. It's a proud partner of 1847 Financial and an advisor for Eagles, Sixers, and Phillies fans only. And maybe next year, the Flyers. When it comes to long-term savings, why are you giving up the current enjoyment of your income? The answer is have income streams in retirement. So it only makes sense to understand how retirement income streams work so that you can direct savings in ways that give you the highest income when you retire. Think of it like climbing a mountain. Is the objective just to get to the top of the mountain and then down the mountain? No, you got to get down the mountain safely. How else are you going to show people to find selfies of you atop the mountain? Going up the mountain is like your accumulation phase of your financial life. Going down the mountain is your distribution phase. Those are the two different phases of your financial life. This month, let's talk about college planning. We all know college is expensive. Have you ever thought about how it will affect your retirement? Let Mike show you an efficient way to help pay for your kids' college education and still retire on your own terms. Your first step is to avoid starting your growth cycle over again by depleting accounts like 529s for big expenses like college. You don't want to lose your position on your growth cycle and have to start over. You can't get that time back. Instead, set yourself up with the ability to have accounts that you can take money out of while still retiring on your own terms. Find out how your annual retirement savings can help your college savings, how your college savings can help your annual retirement savings. Michael, set up your own portal and retirement analyzer, then use the software to help you navigate through the different phases of your financial life. For questions or to set up a meeting with Mike, you can email him at gobirds@1847 Financial or call his office at 484-275-6035. That's 484-275-6035. Let me tell you about Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price every day. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Always fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. And here's what Steven likes to guarantee his customers. The perfect price. Who else is doing that? Nobody. Everybody's marking things way up just to mark it down a couple of bucks. Make it feel like, oh, you're a good negotiator. It really got me there. It was a good humdinger. Nah. No. Steven Singer, you walk in there, no pressure. No haggling, no negotiating. You're not worried about the person next to you is paying less than you are because they're getting some kind of better deal. No, you know what they're getting? The perfect price. Everyone that walks into Steven Singer is getting that better deal. Perfect price guarantee at Steven Singer Jewelers. And if you're looking to get engaged, ready for love, diamond engagement ring standing by at the ready. Looking for that push present, fellas? Steven Singer. Look no further. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price, the perfect price. The other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row. Steven Singer Jewelers. IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. Here, once again, is his Twitter handle for the good people there. You can follow him at ClayHarbs82. Former Philadelphia Eagle, short-time Patriot, former Jacksonville Jaguar, 9-year NFL veteran. Clay Harbor joins the show on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. It's right now on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line, making his triumphant return to the Farzy show for a second time. Former Eagles tight end, longtime NFL tight end, also there with the Jaguars as well. Clay Harbor joins us. What's up, Clay?
No, not a lot. I'm out here in New York City. I'm actually back in school, Mark. I just got accepted into Kelly School of Business, so I'm getting prepared to go back to college. I feel like Billy Madison in the show, back to school. But besides that, I'm just working out, hanging out, and enjoying the summer.
My shoes tied tight. I hope I don't get in a fight. Anyway, sorry, don't put me in a Billy Madison hole, man. I'll just keep going. Now, you raised your hand in the most literal sense in the Twitterverse today, and I loved it. I was laughing my ass off because now look, we all remember the Dream Team. The Dream Team of 2011 was your second year in the league. Yes. So let me just ask you this. Before we even jump into the conversation that was had yesterday in the Twitterverse, that line gets said by Vince Young at that infamous press conference. It's your second year in the league. You guys are coming off an incredible 2010. Michael Vick's an MVP candidate. You guys lose to the eventual champions in the playoffs at Lincoln Financial Field in the Green Bay Packers. Michael Vick goes to Riley Cooper in the end zone, incomplete. What was your take when Dream Team first crossed your ears?
You know, I was still trying to figure everything out. Obviously, it's my second year in the league. You know, I was on this team with all these big name guys. You got Shady, you got Michael Vick, you know, you got Jeremy Maclin, Deshaun Jackson. You got all these big name guys, and you know, I'm coming in from Missouri State, and you know, I'm just honestly, I'm just happy to be there at that point. And you know, I know we had some tight ends coming in, and you know, you're just focused on winning the job. And I remember Vince Young gets signed, and we had signed Nnamdi, we had signed DRC. We had some big name guys. You know, obviously we still had Deshaun, Michael Vick, you know, the big name guys. And then we signed Vince Young, it's a backup quarterback, and he says Dream Team, and it just spirals, goes absolutely bananas, bonkers, crazy. And that's all you would hear about all season long. And that ended up being like every time we lost a game or did something bad, everybody's like, oh, Dream Team's turning into a nightmare. Everybody's making a playoff of it, which I thought was funny because that's when Vince Young first signed. Okay, he's just signed that day and just said Dream Team. Then this year you hear Miles Sanders say, you know, what did he say? He said
an all-star team, a team of all-stars, yeah.
And that didn't, I mean, he got a little bit, but he's actually the starting running back. And he's been on this team for a few years. And nobody makes a big deal about that. I guess times are changing. But Vince Young, guy that didn't throw one pass, didn't play one practice, gets signed and says Dream Team. And it's all we hear about all year long. It's all you could hear about. And it was a rough year. I mean, we had so many ups and downs. It was an emotional year. That's the year, you know, Coach Reed's son passed away, and he was friends of all of us, Garrett. And I mean, we just had so many ups and downs that year. We started slow. We came on at the end of the season, and, you know, we just couldn't, we had a chance at the end of the year to make the playoffs. If the Giants won or the Cowboys, we were watching the game, and then we noticed that we didn't have a chance going into our last week, but we ended up finishing up 8-8, you know, and didn't miss the playoffs.
If I recall, I mean, that was the lockout year. And I think one of the things I brought up at the time, because I thought the same thing when in my mind right now is LaShawn McCoy. But when Miles Sanders said the thing about a team of all-stars, we're like an all-star team, my mind jumped right to the same thing, or jumped to Dream Team. But then talking to some people, I was reminded it's a little bit different this year. And I think it makes sense because you guys in 2011 were also coming out of a lockout with all these new pieces to the puzzle. So all those guys had to quickly gel without a full offseason together as well. And then the lockout leaking into training camp also.
Yeah, that was such a difficult year because everything that was happening, just like everything was just pressed together. We have all these guys, you didn't know half of them. You're just coming into the season, like the tight end room. It was interesting. I remember we had my room. I mean, we signed like Don Lee was a guy that we had in the off season. Cornelius Ingram was there, but we signed a couple of new guys just from our position, and then bringing in all these big name players. It was really tough to get everybody to gel together at that point. And you know, we started. So actually, yeah, I think we started off a couple wins, but then it went downhill from there. And then we were 4-8, and we finished up 8-8.
Wow.
And then that's what brought everybody back the next year because, like, you win the last 4 games, you finish strong, and yeah, so.
Figure you can come back and hopefully pick up where you guys left off. The reason we're talking about this, and I talked about it at the beginning of the show, but I'll reintroduce it now with our guest, Clay Harbor. You entered the conversation after this story gets told about that Dream Team year with Nnamdi Asomugha signing, his first practice with the Eagles where he supposedly burns a tight end. Here's what LaShawn McCoy had to say about it on the I'm an Athlete podcast.
So when we had Nnamdi, it was his first one-on-one at practice, right? It was camp. And everybody thought, we got Nnamdi. He signed like a big-ass deal. So we all looking. We like, ooh, like that type of thing. Like, ooh. So look, but when he went against the tight end, Brent Selleck. Brent was a good tight end. He was like a route runner. He was like this all-together complete, can block, can run a little bit. So when he went against the tight end, we like,
This is the first day?
The first day, we like,
First day.
yo, the tight end hit him with like a post corner. We was like, oh. We like, oh. We look at the gym like.
First day looking bad.
Look, you know how Son is, told you.
So now you have a different version of that story, and I love it. I showed it earlier. You're literally quoting that tweet with your hand in the air. I think it was from Crossing Broad who pointed it out to many of us. And you're raising your hand saying, no, actually, that was me who burned Nnamdi. Take me through what actually happened now in that infamous practice play.
Okay, so it was a team drill, and I can't remember if it was 7-on-7 or just team, but it was early in camp. We still have our shells on, and I got the sluggo. I was more of the U, the H, and I got the sluggo this time, and a sluggo is just a slant and go. And I remember the play exactly. I mean, for some reason, my mind can remember specific plays. Like it's Nnamdi's playing like 3-4 yards off and looking inside the cornerback. So I just told myself, I'm going to just drive hard. I'm going to do 3 hard steps and just drive hard as I can to the slant. And, Nnamdi's going to want to take this. He's got no respect. I'm the backup tight end. He's going to just try to jump this route so hard. So I sold it. 1, 2, 3, plant. 1, 2, 3. Nnamdi's gone. Jump in the slant, and I ended up breaking out of it. And I run. I catch a pass. I was with Mike then. Mike threw me a pass, caught the ball, and I was going to run and score a touchdown. But I remember Kurt Coleman ended up. I'm like, he's not going to tackle me because it's not a tackling drill. And I'm running, and next thing you know, Kurt tackled me at the end of the play. I'm like, all right, Kurt. And Kurt was my roommate. And I'm like, this guy tackled me. This is unbelievable. So Kurt tackled me, and I remember that play vividly. I had another play like that in New England when I was with Tom Brady, but Tom Brady actually underthrew me. I had a sluggo. I was going to run in the sluggo. 1, 2, 3, was going against Malcolm Butler, bit the slant, took off, had him beat by 10 yards. Tom underthrew me. Tom Brady actually apologized to me in front of the Clay. Sorry, man. Underthrew you there. I got to get that one to you. I'm like, don't let it happen again, Tom. Don't let it happen again. We'll be okay.
That's great. I was going to say, I hope, yeah.
That was
hope
the
you didn't lead him up.
story. And I remember Nnamdi going, oh, he's yelling at Marty. Oh, really, Marty? You're going to throw a sluggo to a tight end, and he's trying to play it off. And I was just like, okay, dude. Like he's like kind of like a disrespectful because you're a tight end. I was a young tight end. Nobody knew I was. But yeah, that's what I remember about that play.
Now, can you remember any play where Brent actually did beat Nnamdi Asomugha in practice?
So that's what I've been trying to remember, and I mean I'm sure Brent had a lot of good plays, and he was a good one-on-one player. So I mean it's possible that that happened too. But I specifically thought that it was what he was talking about me because it was so early on, and everybody was kept talking about how I. And then we got back in the locker room and Nnamdi came up and finally dapped me up, good route. And it was a thing that was going on because I beat Nnamdi. I'm a second-year player from Missouri State, 4th-round draft pick. Nnamdi Asomugha just signed a $70 million contract. And, I was like, I just scored a touchdown. Well, if Kirk didn't tackle me, it might have been a touchdown. But so Brent might have beat him in another play that Shady's talking about. But I think that he got us mixed up. In my opinion, but it's possible that it was a different play.
I like the fact that you're not trying to brag because you follow up your comment where you quote the tweet with, no, I was just really good at practice. That was the thing.
No, exactly. The guy's I'm like, hey, you look at my numbers, I got 1,000-something yards in my career, 10 touchdowns, whatever. I obviously didn't have the career in my mind I should have, but what I for whatever reason, training camp, practice, I mean, you could look, I was a guy that could play. I was the fastest tight end. You look like I'll send you a tweet from Chip Kelly, Andy Reid, Marty Morningwig would always tell me, dude, Clay, if you can just put this together, you are a Pro Bowl player. You have all this talent. Guys I've played against, like, man, I didn't know you were this good. Like when I'm going against me in practice, for whatever reason in the game, I didn't get the opportunity, or I was playing a little tight, or ball didn't go my way. I started playing well in Jacksonville, where I was a top 40 PFF, Bleacher Report tight end 2 years in a row. But then there's not as many opportunities. So in Jacksonville, you get 350 yards receiving. That's like you're the worst offense in the league. That's like getting 700 somewhere else.
Right.
But to just say, training camp, preseason stuff, for whatever reason, I was making a lot of plays and getting a lot of catches.
Mr. Lehigh.
Articles that I could send you and show you guys, the coaches talking about it, and you guys, the media guys talking about it, and so I was like, hey, in practice, I was a Hall of Famer. So that was actually not a bad thing by Nnamdi.
Now, look, let's talk about this modern-day NFL team that we got here with the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'll stay away from any all-star conversation, but I will say with what they've done, especially on the defensive side of things, with Hassan Reddick, and then what they did in the draft, bringing in Jordan Davis and also bringing in Nakobe Dean, for instance. Maybe one more safety to add to this bunch. It feels like this team, I'll just say this, has assembled a good amount of talent. And also the offensive line looks like they're going to be pretty good as well. What's your overall assessment when looking at this team as it's about to head into training camp?
Honestly, I got to give a shot. Howie did a hell of a job, putting this team together. And it's me saying it, a guy that he cut at one point. He did draft me too, so I'll let him slide. But I think he's got a hell of a job. I think, Miles Sanders coming back healthy. Obviously, Devonta Smith, Quez Watkins, I think will have a good year. A.J. Brown. What's funny is a guy like Greg Ward, who literally led the team in receptions in 2020. And now, with Zach Pascal, all these guys, he's literally on the roster bubble, might not make the roster.
Right.
That's just something I was looking at today, looking at the roster. And I'm like, Greg Ward was playing a ton of snaps. And last year, I think he played 25% of the snaps. But I think they put together a heck of a team. We got Kelsey back, Lane Johnson, and Jordan at the left tackle, two of the best offensive line. There's really no weaknesses. My shout out to, my buddy TJ Edwards. I think he's going to have a good year. The James Bradbury, I thought that was an underrated move, bringing him in. The team, they stay healthy. I think they're the favorite in the East for sure. What do you think?
I'm right there. I think they are the favorite. People ask me, if I go out, whatever, people will talk to me about the Eagles, and a lot of times I'll try to, I don't want to get engaged in an argument while I'm out and about.
Yeah.
I usually say they're going to do well, but I honestly legit feel like they're going to win the division this year. And a little bit of that's scary, because the minute I get optimistic, the minute that dream team, that phrase starts to creep into my brain. But in all honesty, I think Jalen Hurts is going to take a step forward this year. I think Nick Sirianni's, I think he's got the pieces around him to be better. And I think this defense,
23 years old.
Yeah.
He's going to get better. There's no hole. If you looked at us, people would say, okay, they got this great team, but our interior line and our linebackers weren't good. The dream team year, we didn't have great linebacker, whatever. But this team, the offensive line is one of the best offensive line in the league, in my opinion. I think they got good running backs. They didn't add anything there, but I think they have good running backs. The only thing you can say, realistically, you look at the linebackers, Kaiser White, Nakobe Dean could be one of the biggest steals of the draft, in my opinion. TJ Edwards has played well. Hassan Reddick, Darius Slay is entering Hall of Fame territory, in my opinion. These guys stay healthy. Your only question is the quarterback. And, Jalen didn't blow people away last year, but I still think he had a solid year, unless I'm missing something. Obviously, it wasn't the year that if you want to go deep in the playoffs, but if he doesn't even improve, the rest of your team has, and you had a playoff team. Mm-hmm. So I think Jalen improves. I follow him on social media. The guy looks like he's working hard all the time. And from what I hear from the players, this guy's a hard-working dude. So, I think Jalen, if he gets a little bit better, this team is going to win the division, and then, all bets are off in the playoffs. And, and I even like the backup. I think Gardner Minshew's a hell of a player. Even if Jalen goes down, I think Gardner Minshew could take him to the playoffs too.
Mm-hmm. I hope so. I mean, look, put it this way. If we're a city that experienced Nick Foles winning a championship, the only Super Bowl in obviously the city's history, and he had a pretty solid defense for that ride, if this defense can play that solid again, people forget, on a Jonathan Gannon, last year they were a top 10 defense in terms of yards. Points, a little bit different. But in terms of yards, they were a top 10 defense, which is insane to think about. Now, actually, points and yards, they were both top 10 defense in both categories. So if Jonathan Gannon can do that with the group he had last year, and then he upgrades those positions like they have this offseason, like how he has, like you acknowledged, then I think that defense can be pretty damn good no matter who the quarterback is. But we all want to come out of this season knowing not only do you have a stout defense, but you also have a quarterback of the future. Mr., as I always say, Mr. Right, not just Mr. Right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the play, the way how he set this whole thing up. And, especially having an extra first-round pick next year is, Jalen Hurts knows he has this year. He knows if he does it this year, this is going to be his team. So it's a huge year for him. You bring in A.J. Brown, who's one of the best wide receivers, still a young 25-year-old guy in the league, which I was still curious about that. I know they didn't want to spend that much money in Tennessee, but it's like, how do you let this guy go? I think one of the only things that I'm worried about is say Dallas Goedert goes down. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of depth. But you got Jack Stoll, Tyree Jackson, Grant. Is Richard Rodgers still on the roster?
No, I think they released him last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know where he is now. I haven't followed, but he's one of those guys that I feel like he'll be available. And I respect the guy who works his ass off, but I don't know if he's still on the roster.
I don't see much depth there. I think Goddard, in my opinion, top 3 tight end in the league. Just watching him since, on Twitter, I'm just, looking up stats. Goddard, Jalen Hurts' QBR when throwing to Dallas Goedert is 95. His QBR when in total is 45. Like, just get this guy the ball. Like, linebackers can't guard him. Like, look, I watch tight ends. When I'm watching the game, I can't help myself. Goddard is like 7'11". The guy's always open. He's just always open, doesn't close. It's like a bodega place across the street from my New York City apartment, man. The place is always open.
That's Wawa around these parts. So just to jump back to the Nnamdi Asomugha story for a second. So you said Marty Morningweg and he had a little exchange there. Did Nnamdi take exception to it? It sounds like he did. And was Marty trying to say, hey, you earned your stripes out there in Oakland, now earn them here in Philadelphia as well?
So Nnamdi, after the play, is yelling at Marty, like, oh, really, Marty? You're going to throw a sluggo to a tight end? Because, Marty's the offensive coordinator, and Marty called the play, and it's a shot play. And I don't really remember exactly what the exchange was there. But, Marty is always the guy that's, he's like, we're going to test him. We'd be in the meeting room, and he'd be like, we're going against Patrick Peterson or something. Like, this guy ain't Deion Sanders. This guy ain't 21 out there. I played against Deion Sanders. You threw the ball away from him. This guy ain't Deion. This guy ain't Deion. We're going to test him. That's the type of guy Marty was. Love Marty. One of my favorite coaches. Awesome guy. But something like that is probably what happened there.
And then one more thing. Sorry, I lied. This is the last thing I promise on that play. LaShawn says in the clip they were looking at the GM. So that means everyone was looking at Howie. Were people my question is, were people and do players ever look at the general manager and be like, how do you not know that this guy is a scheme guy in Oakland and not necessarily that one-on-one guy here in Philadelphia?
I've been in places to where, like, you get these guys that come in and then, like, you start playing with them and you're like, this is him? You're like, this is the guy? Like, I expected more. But even when I've went places, I'm like, okay, just like when you get to see people in person, and the problem is for a guy like a GM, right? You see a guy performing in the scheme. You don't get to see him every day in practice, I mean, maybe you go back to his like college days, you could see some practice, but you don't get to see the guy practice. You just see what he does on the field. He could be playing his scheme really well, but then you don't know how he's going to react in your scheme. That's why you see so many guys like, oh, this guy was a bust. It's like, no, he just didn't fit that scheme.
Right.
He fit this scheme, didn't fit that scheme. But that happened a lot. We'd get this high-priced guy, and we'd be like, really? Like, that same year, we had wide receiver Steve Smith. You know, I'm not saying he was a bust or anything, but I just remember some guys that were brought in that had put up numbers and stuff like that, and we're like, okay, like that's interesting. We had a lot of players that year. I mean, Ronnie Brown, I'm pretty sure was that season. I mean, we had a number of guys that year, and I just remember during camp and stuff like that, just seeing some of them, and a lot of us that were there were like, wow, you know, and that happened a lot in the league.
Sure. Yeah. Clay, great catching up with you, man. Seriously, always a pleasure talking football with you. I'll show your Twitter account again so people know to follow you, where they can find you, and all that stuff. Good luck going back to school there, Billy Madison. Back to school. Just as long as it doesn't end with what you said in no way, shape, or form resembled an answer.
Yeah.
And may God have mercy on your soul.
A simple no would have been just fine. But yeah, no, absolutely. No, I'm excited for it and looking forward to getting my MBA, and it'll be fun.
Awesome. Clay Harper, ladies and gentlemen, joining us on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. Always good to catch up with Clay Harper. Appreciate him coming on and joining us on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. One correction. My most humble and profound apologies to Richard Rodgers, still on the Eagles roster. I thought he was let go. They brought him back, and he's still back. He's still on the team, Richard Rodgers, at least according to the team's website. So there you go. Oh, and a quick Google search as well after the fact. So, yeah, he's still very much in the room. He's like that guy that's just on and off the roster, left and right. Eagles release him. A couple of weeks later, they bring him back. So I apologize I wasn't up to date on my Richard Rodgers news. Good old Dick Rogers, my friend, as PJ only calls him. we call him other things as well. But thanks, Clay Harper. And I love the idea, of Nnamdi Asomugha getting pissed at Marty Morningweg for calling the sluggo, excuse me. And I also love the idea of Clay Harper going up to Tom Brady and be like, yeah, don't let it happen again. Good times. Let me say about Rothman Orthopedics, who brings us our fine guest line each and every day. Remember the old you, the one that didn't have to deal with a fickle knee, a finicky hip, or a shoulder that no longer does what a shoulder should do? Well, the Rothman approach to orthopedics is here to get you back to being you, back to running, back to walking, back to playing, back to living your life the way you want. With same-day appointments, you can start today at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopedics, the official orthopedic partner of your Phillies, Eagles, and Sixers. That's RothmanOrtho.com. How about Manscaped? Gentlemen, we all strive for gold in life, right? Well, how about going for platinum? Like the Platinum Package 4.0 from Manscaped. Yeah, that's right. Manscaped. I'd like to introduce you to their new, biggest and best ultimate hygiene bundle yet. The Platinum Package 4.0. Because, fellas, you want to look good everywhere, right? Reduce the risk of nicks. Huh? You can manscape with confidence and comfort with the Platinum Package 4.0, which includes Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, and it all has skin-safe technology that helps reduce the risk of nicks so that you can manscape in comfort and confidence. Plus, their ultra-premium body wash, 2-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, crop preserver, anti-chafing ball deodorant, crop reviver ball spray toner. I mean, guys, have you not been toning down there? What are we doing? Anti-chafing boxers as well. Shed travel bag to hold all the goods that you'll be using to take care of your goods from Manscaped. Manscaped is the leader in below-the-waist trimming and grooming. You can now trust them with the whole shebang. You can join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping when you use promo code Farzy. Did you hear me? Let me help you help yourself with 20% off and free shipping when you use promo code Farzy at manscaped.com for their incredible Platinum Package 4.0. Your balls will thank you. How about Freestone Farm CBD, ladies and gentlemen? The best CBD brand because they farm it themselves with all organic inputs, and they offer the some education as well at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. When you're perusing their strain menu, you'll see incredible things like their own tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at chart-topping 24.1%, and Super CBD, which is half Hindu Kush, and 21%. The genetics of these guys are phenomenal. They grow all their premium hemp flower in the Garden State and all organic inputs and IPM, so there's nothing synthetic from farm to jar. And after harvest, they carefully preserve all plant compounds with a perfect 3-month cure. Just one look or smell will be enough to let you know it's CBD done right. And have a 20% off as well when you use promo code Farzy. That's right, 20% on me. That's right. For your CBD, enter promo code Farzy. You get 20% off. I am helping people, folks. That's what we're trying to do. Promo code Farzy at checkout at Freestone Farm CBD for your FreestoneFarmCBD.com for 20% off your CBD order. Fellas, by now you've heard of Blue Chew. Blue Chew to the rescue. For our audience, another amazing deal. Pay just $5 shipping. Get your first month at BlueChew.com when you use promo code Farzy. BlueChew.com, promo code Farzy, and you'll get your first month free. Just pay $5 shipping. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets are for men to help combat all forms of ED. And again, Blue Chew is online. It's an online prescription service, so there's no embarrassing trips to the doctors or pharmacy where they're over here in some kind of conversation, people behind you waiting in line. Very discreet. It ships right to your house at a fraction of the price in a very discreet package as well. Blue Chew process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days, and it's all done online discreetly. Also, Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work to find out the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. You don't like to swallow pills? No problem there. Blue Chew's tablets are chewable. It's not just a clever name. Blue Chew's tablets are also made right here in the good old US of A. And they prepare and direct shiply to your house. Cheaper than a pharmacy. Once again, here's a special deal for our listeners and our viewers. Try Blue Chew free when you use promo code Farzy at checkout. Pay just $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code Farzy, all one word, to receive your first month free. How about PHL Sports Nation? Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. First glance at the comments as we do our chat check here. And the first thing I see is ease up on the steroids, Papelbon. David, good hustle to you. Welcome to the chat. Kevin, what's going on? T-Bro. I have known for a while. I wasn't going to do the Jacob Media post-game show. Congrats to my friends Derek Gunn, Devin Caney, Seth Joyner, who I love, and Mike Missinelli. Congratulations on doing the post-game show. I'll be keeping you guys abreast of what's going on with me. This show's not going anywhere. Let me just get that out of the way because I know some people jump to that conclusion. Some pokers in the fire, so to speak. It's like right now I got all these pieces on the puzzle. And it's like trying to organize them right now. So that's just as far as I go, T-Bro, to answer your question. No, but I've known for a while, and I've been in communication with Jacob Media, and we'll keep you guys abreast of the situation. But I appreciate you asking. Tyvita, what's going on? Mickey Diaz, what's going on? Good morning, everyone. Smash that like button. Thank you, Mickey. I appreciate that. Mally, good morning to you. Sean Gillespie, Tyvita, Mally again. Wait, Papelbon is still alive? Mally! Yes, and he's still the Phillies' all-time leader in saves. Good morning, April. Everyone's saying hello. Yeah, here's what we got. Yeah. Wow, PJ, is that what it comes up as now? I knew Nnamdi Asomugha was an actor now and like a documentary. Is he documentary? Anyways, in the movie business. Married to Kerry Washington. Lovely lady. So he wins life still. He didn't win with the Eagles, but he wins life. He's living a dream, man. But if you Google Nnamdi Asomugha, it comes up as actor now. It doesn't come up as former. All right, hold on. Let me try to spell this correctly. Folks, bear with me here. I'm going to try to get a lot of things going at one time. Nnamdi. Okay, here we go. I got to read this for myself. First thing that comes up. Nnamdi Asomugha is an American actor, producer, and former football quarterback. Wow! Number 3 on the list. Football quarterback. actor, producer. Wow. Wow. By the way, I think the proper way you pronounce his name is Asomugha. There's a little extra thing in the middle there. Syllable in the middle. But yeah, here's when I woke up yesterday, I definitely didn't think that Nnamdi Asomugha was going to enter the conversation, and I sure as hell didn't think Jonathan Papelbon was going to enter the conversation. I was secretly hoping for any type of workout video with James Harden, PJ Tucker, and Joel Embiid, because that just always warms my heart. That is beautiful, just perfect. T-Bro, Papelbon is just an angry Karen. My sister-in-law's name is Karen. I don't think I've shared that information with you guys, and she's the sweetest person on the planet. I feel bad for the nice Karens. How long before, we're not allowed to say Karen? How long before that's a thing? Because, in radio, for instance, and maybe in TV too, you can say the word bitch. But, I'm bitching and moaning about this, that, and the other. But you can't, have a woman on and call her that. That's the same thing. Or it's not the same thing, the way it's said. So it's the context of it matters. How long until the context of Karen matters? We're headed in that direction sooner rather than later. So yeah, Papelbon. Papelbon is a hothead and sounds pretty salty right now. April, I concur. Papelbon desperately needs to get a life and a clue. Mickey, I'm with you. Papelbon sounds like Mally, Papelbon sounds like a one-night stand when you wake up and look and tell yourself, I'm never drinking again. Mike Fuji! Hola, ¿cómo estás? Happy hump day to you as well. T-Bro, what's poppin'? Mickey, hola. We're bilingual. We're bilingual in the chat. Sean Gillespie, Vince Young, 400 yards, 4 interceptions, young memories. Wow. Don't let it happen again to Tom Brady. Sean, yeah, I love that. I thought it was hilarious with Clay. Go to Tom Brady, who underthrew him. Ridiculous. And by the way, for the people that might think that Clay Harper is bragging about how it was him and not Brent Selleck or how he was great at practice, he specifies he was only great at practice. That's the humbling remark from Clay Harper, which makes him in his own right so damn lovable. Here's David. What's up, David? David Bogart, I believe. David, I think I'm saying that right. Ease up on the roids, Papelbon. Can't stand the fact that he's the saves leader for the Phillies. We'll never forget him trying to choke Harper in the dugout. Talk about a bleep show. Touche, David. If Harper and Schwarber aren't leaders, I don't know who is. Very good. April, I'll be incorporating that line. April has now introduced herself as a co-ad writer. You're a copywriter now. I'm going to use that line. Here's the line that April said. Manscaped, make your junk look bigger. Mike Fuji, what's going on? Everyone's saying hello. Everything's good. Oh, this is nice. Holy pots and pans, Tyvita, you're 5'1". God bless you. One of my dear friends in college, Lisa Thompson. She was 4'11". God bless her. One of the shortest humans I know that's under the age of 80. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are great. Always great catching up with you guys. Tyvita, good luck with that whole height thing. I'm sure. Were you a gymnast? Were you a gymnast in school? Gymnastics? Were you on the gymnastics team? Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are great, as per usual. Let's jump into our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. One thing I failed to mention in the All-Star game from last night, the 3-2 loss by the National League to the American League, despite, once again, being a home field advantage for the Dodgers, for the National League at Dodger Stadium there. The National League had 20 consecutive batters retired. It's the second longest streak, and the second time it's happened in the All-Star. 20 consecutive batters took a seat. 20 consecutive batters were unable to get a hit in an All-Star game. I'm all for good arms and pitching displays, and some of those guys that were mic'd up seemed like they were having an absolute blast. I love during all-star games, miking up players. It's still bonkers to me. Like Kyle Schwarber, when the Phillies were playing the Mets on I believe it was Sunday Night Baseball, and Carl Ravitch was interviewing Kyle Schwarber as he's in the field. Like, that blows my mind that you're interviewing players as they're playing the game. The times we live in, like during other sporting events when managers get interviewed, baseball managers get interviewed. Like, I get that. In hockey, every other sport, every coach, manager, whatever, gets interviewed. In hockey, in basketball, those guys are doing it at breaks, and some people don't realize that. They're not being interviewed while the play is going on. I know some people get pissed about that, but I don't know if everyone realizes now that those guys are being interviewed at a different time. Coaches are obviously being interviewed when they walk off the field at halftime, for instance, or that's when the interview's happening. Sal Palatino is like running up to him with a microphone, that whole thing. That's after the game. But in game, the sideline reporter is usually running up there and going and talking to the head coach. But baseball does it in game. Basketball and hockey don't do it in game. They do it like at a commercial break type deal, and they walk over to the reporter and have that interview. It blows my mind that in baseball you're actually interviewing a player while it's happening. That's insane. And they're hoping that a ball goes their way. I think it happened to Mookie Betts last night in center field, or was it Julio Rodriguez? I think it was Julio Rodriguez. So it's wild to me that that's the world we live in. But yeah, they seem like they were having a lot of fun, and I love it during exhibitions. It's fun. So that's what you had going for last night. Once again, Kyle Schwarber was 0 for 2 last night with a strikeout. Really hoping that he was going to tie things up for the Phillies, or for the National League rather, and pull in with that, end things with a home run derby. That would have been fantastic. Phillies get back in action, like I said earlier, Friday night. They have a 6-game homestand coming up against the Cubs, and then they host the Atlanta Braves. And now here's the other thing. Coming in hot to the second half of the season, both literally with the weather in Philadelphia and metaphorically. They got the Braves for 3. Then they go to Pittsburgh for a 4-game series. The Braves for another 2 games. So it's 5 games in the first, last week in July and first week in August. That's 5 games against the Braves. A 4-game set against the Nationals at home. A 3-game set at with the Marlins at home. And then they travel to New York against the Mets. It is going to be a hectic month and a half. When you look at the way they're going to finish out the end of July and the way they're going to go through August, you're looking at this. Atlanta for 3, Atlanta for 2, Washington for 4, Miami for 3, New York for 3, New York for 4. And then they don't play an in-division game. They wrap up a 4-game series with the New York Mets in August, on Sunday, August 21st. And they don't play an in-division game until September 6th. So they get a couple of weeks away from the division before basically finishing the season against NL East opponents, with the exception of a Blue Jays series at home and a Cubs and Astros series. So as you would expect, as it always does, they do it on purpose, ending the season against a lot of teams that are going on that you got in the division. They want those games to matter big time. Tyvita, I was practically stepped on every day in the hallways. Tyvita, shout out. Thanks, everybody. You guys were great as per usual. That was the Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Jim Hyden produced the program, did a phenomenal job as per usual. My thanks to Clay Harbor for joining the show on the Roth Orthopedics guest line. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. My name is Marc Farzetta. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow. See ya.